After Donald Trump's insane press conference yesterday, where he was not only laughed at by the press, but his staff as well, I thought we had hit the low point of the administration. But somehow, someway, Donald Trump has found his way to a lower point. And that came with his first cabinet meeting today, or I guess really I should say he and Elon's first cabinet meeting, because they were co-presidenting it up. Elon was standing and riffing and interrupting, responding to questions. It was incredibly bizarre, and you could even see that on Donald Trump's face when Elon openly admitted to and got caught in a scandal after being confronted by a reporter. We're going to get into all of it. There's so much to unpack. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's start out with Donald Trump's first insane statement.
Eggs are a disaster. The Secretary of Agriculture is going to be showing you a chart that's actually mind-boggling what's happened, how low they were with us and how high they are now. But I think we can do something about it, Madam Secretary, and I think you're going to do a fantastic job in that position.
Are you serious? We're already just right away doing the Blame Biden Act. Remember the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency? Remember that pandemic he had to solve? Remember that economic collapse he fixed at record pace? I don't remember a lot of blame game happening there, but your ridiculous policy and your inability or lack of care with addressing any of the crisis around the cost of living, that's Joe Biden's fault. You're a month and a half into this thing, man, and you've only made things worse. Maybe have a little bit of accountability, which of course is never going to happen, but Donald Trump clearly doesn't care. He clearly doesn't care that what he's doing and the budget his House Republicans just passed is going to impact his own voters, especially when he was asked about it right here.
The funding bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others, criminals in many cases, and that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks, so we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, we're not doing anything on this.
Always good to see some clear and blatant lying. I'm really sure when Medicaid is cut by, $1 trillion, the Republicans who voted for Donald Trump and are then affected are going to feel really good that he said he wasn't cutting it while he was cutting it. They don't seem to care. And it's a point that I continue to return to, this lie that Donald Trump told about how he had this historic mandate, won some giant victory. One, not true. But if he was claiming to have won a giant victory, it was to lower prices, not to cut every government program that keeps people alive. It is absolutely insane. And so, of course, Donald Trump had to pivot and distract and start attacking Canada.
We don't need their lumber. What do we need their lumber for? When you look at we subsidize them $200 billion a year. Without us, Canada can't make it. You know, Canada relies on us 95%. We rely on them 4%. Big difference. And I say Canada should be our 51st state. There's no tariffs, no nothing. And I say that we give them military protection. They have a very small military. They spend very little money on military. On NATO, they're just about last in terms of payment because they say, why should we spend on military? That's a tremendous cost. Most nations can't afford to even think about it.
I think he knew that this thing was getting out of control, or maybe he just is angry all the time. Well, it's probably that he's angry all the time. Actually, it's probably a mix of both. But it is, again, so funny that when, as we will see later, Donald Trump is confronted about rising prices, he consistently puts his own voters in a worse position. That is all we've seen from the beginning of this Trump administration, is the people who elected him getting screwed over by him. And it's a little bit delicious to watch. But speaking of people getting screwed over, listen to Elon Musk openly admitting to how he's messed things up.
I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola, Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption. But we do need to move quickly if we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction in financial year 2026. It requires saving $4 billion per day, every day, from now through the end of September. But we can do it, and we will do it.
What is he talking about? This is the thing with Doge. This is why I say that we have to stop giving any legitimacy to these people. They are dumb. They don't know how government works. They're not cutting the budget. They're not cutting agencies. They're just taking a meat axe. Like, cutting would suggest that there's precision involved. They're just blowing things up and then trying to reel them back in when they realize how much they've messed up. Some people just aren't wanting to return because, as I've said before, they're quite literally trying to traumatize them. And Donald Trump, I don't think, seemed too happy that Elon was just openly admitting to his failures and just like telling people that they are screwing them over. And certainly not when he was asked about how people are very upset with him and Elon Musk.
We've seen consumer confidence this week have a sharp drop from last month, the biggest dip in, I believe, 3 years. Why is that your assessment? Why is that the case? And is there anything you can do?
I think that consumer confidence, if you look at confidence in the nation, it had the biggest increase in the history of the chart. It went up 42 points in a period of like days after the election, since the election. So since the election, the confidence in our nation, including right track, wrong track, the first time it's ever happened where we were on the right track, because this country has been on the wrong track for a long time. So the confidence in business, confidence in the country has reached an all-time high. We have never reached levels like we are right now. Okay.
I don't know who would be shocked that consumer confidence is dropping when Donald Trump is doing everything he possibly can to raise prices and make the economy worse while gutting programs to help people eat, be housed, have medical coverage. This is going to be a record-breaking midterm. And I recently saw a Republican member of Congress complain about the boos and the protests taking place at their town halls. So not only are Republicans taking away programs from their constituents, but they're yelling at them and talking down to them when they get upset about it. These people are in for a rude awakening, both the Republican elected officials and the people who elected them. And what is Donald Trump focused on? Kamala Harris and CBS.
They inserted an entirely different answer that made her sound competent. And they did this, and nobody's ever... I thought I've heard of everything when it comes to that stuff. No, I've never heard of it. Nobody's ever seen. So we sued, and we are in discussions of settlement.
What would a number be? Like, what's a number that you would think would be appropriate?
I think it's a lot. It probably did affect the election. I mean, we won by a lot. As I said, too big to rig. But it probably did affect the election. You know, probably could have won by more. But I could have lost the election because of that. We have to get to honest elections. We have to go back to paper ballots. We have to go back to voter ID. One-day election, ideally, or a short term, not these 48-day and 61-day elections where boxes are put in a room and, oh, let's move the boxes because we're...
I think it is important to continue to drive home the point that he just doesn't care. He really does not care about anything you promised. I think betrayal is a pretty strong feeling, and it's not enough to communicate to people who voted for Donald Trump, whether they're Republicans or just independents who thought he was a better candidate, wrongfully so. It's not enough to just communicate he's messing up. I think it is important to communicate that he has betrayed you and that he does not care, that he has his own priorities to serve himself and his billionaire buddies, first on the list. And that's what this is a clear example of. He's still talking about an interview from October that has nothing to do with the most important issues in this country. He's just focused on his petty little grievances and serving his billionaire friends. And speaking of which, he talked more about that right here.
And they go to Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, they go to Yale, they go to all great schools, and they graduate #1 in their class, and they're made job offers, but the offer is immediately rescinded because you have no idea whether or not that person can stay in the country. I want to be able to have that person stay in the country. These companies can go and buy a gold card, and they can use it as a matter of recruitment. At the same time, the company is using that money to pay down debt. We're going to pay down a lot of debt with that.
Are they going to
and
have
I think
to...
the gold card is going to be used by, not only for that, I mean, they'll be used by companies. I mean, I could see Apple. I've spoken with Tim Cook, and by the way, he's going to make a $500 billion investment in the country only because of the results of the election.
This gold card idea is just insanity for a couple of reasons. First, how many people would actually be buying this? So how much money could it possibly raise for the federal government? Two, how many criminals could purchase this? How much illegal activity and corruption could happen through this gold card? And three, if the point is, well, we need to raise revenues, why not just tax people? Right? If the idea is, oh, people with a lot of money want to come to America because of the businesses you can build and how great it is to be here, how about we just tax the rich people that are already here? Like, what? What? Like, they are so dumb. They clearly don't care. It's just ridiculous. And speaking of don't care, listen to what Donald Trump had to say about federal workers right here.
I'd like to add that those million people that haven't responded, though, Elon, they are on the bubble. You know, I wouldn't say that we're thrilled about it. You know, they haven't responded. Now, maybe they don't exist. Maybe we're paying people that don't exist. Don't forget, we just got here. This group just got here. But those people are on the bubble, as they say. You know, maybe they're going to be gone. Maybe they're not around. Maybe they have other jobs. Maybe they moved. And
once again, drive home the point. They do not care about you. They never will. They're not gonna. And we have to call that out. We're certainly going to be on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.